My name's Elizabeth Hunt and I work with Argentium Silver, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Endless Circles and Hematite bracelet. It's a wonderful piece as a starter piece. It's very simple to achieve a professional finish, and you get all the material that you need for it within the kit. You will have some large jump rings, a thick piece of 2mm wire, 2 hematite rings and a number of small jump rings. You are going to need ideally a micro torch of some description that has a very fine point, some Argentium flux and any number of different hammers that you can use texturing the surface of the larger jump rings. You'll need a variety of pliers. I've got a pair of chain nose pliers here. I've got a pair of flush cutters and a pair of flat nose. You will also need a steel block simply to support the jump rings when you're putting the texturing on. So I'm now going to flux the joint. I'm using the pen, but you can just as easily do it with some flux and a paintbrush. Flux over the joint, and then I'm going to fuse it. So no addition of any solder at all here. So I'm only going to warm it a little bit all the way around, and I can, unlike sterling, just concentrate in on the point that I want to fuse. Remembering that the tip of the flame is the point that is the hottest, I can see that this is getting near to fusing temperature now. So can you see it's sort of gone a satin finish? It'll bubble up a little bit, and then I'm looking for some flow, which will happen any moment. The joint has gone, and it looks a bit messy at this stage, but don't worry, it will be fine. I'm just going to pull that around a little bit more. I'm then going to let it cool, just enough for the heat to go out of it, and I'm going to flip it over and fuse it from the other side, because the 2mm is quite thick wire, and you just want to be sure that the joint has gone all the way through. So just keep going until it's flowing better. That should have fused all the way through. I'm going to let it cool down. So I'm going to put some texture onto the surface of this jump ring. And then, having done one side, I'm going to flip it over and do the other side. You obviously carry on making the rest of the jump rings. So I'm going to open up one of the small jump rings, thread it through 2 of the larger ones, and then I'm going to close up the jump ring. So I take one of the open jump rings, open it right up, thread 2 of the textured ones through, and then close up. And then I'm going to fuse the joint in the little jump rings. So the trick there is to make sure that the seam that you're closing is away from the rest of the pieces. I'm going to flux that joint, and this is one of the reasons that having a fine nose torch is a good idea, because I'm going to angle the flame away from this work. So I'm only concentrating just on the bit that I want to fuse. And as soon as you see it start to flow, you can take the torch away, which is just happening now. And then I'm going to repeat the process and take this one and again heat just the joint. The joints are fused, and continue along until you've got the combination of large jump rings, small jump rings that you're looking for before you add the hematite ring in. So fuse the big ones, fuse the bits where you've got just chain, but if you've got any sort of nerve or you're worried about whether the hematite's going to last if you heat it, don't fuse the 2 that join the hematite. But the other thing that you do need to learn how to do is to make the toggle clasp on the end. Within your kit, you've got a thick piece of 2mm wire. What you're going to do is you're going to concentrate the heat onto just the end of the wire. So if you look at it now, you can see it's starting to ball up on the end. And this is just a matter of watching it. It's trial and error, really. So we're just starting to ball on the end now. This is where you do need to draw the heat down. And that'll just round off the ends. And you have 2 choices here. You can either use a full size one of these jump rings, or you can cut it in half, and you're going to join it onto the bar. Put some flux on. And then what you're looking for is, I need to make sure that they are touching, and you're looking for the 2 things to flow together. Again, concentrate the end of the torch at the point that you want it to join. So I can see that there's a flow between the 2 happening now. So I'm just going to let that cool down a little bit. I'm going to turn it over and do it from the other side just to make sure the joint's solid. And if you look at the joint, you can see that there's been a flow between the 2 areas. So the the straight section and the jump ring have actually got a joining part. You just need to do it so that it actually, when it's passed through and pulls back, it's comfortable.